What's up guys, Judo Sloth here and welcome to the third episode of the Town Hall 11 Triples, showcasing to you some 3-star strategies. Today we're focusing on a LavaLoon edition. These are all attacks from a single war, 5 very impressive 3-star attacks using the LavaLoon attack strategy. I will bring you a guide on this at some point in the near future, but you can use this as a bit of a reference point until then. Now it's the same cliche as ever in that things will change depending on the base design, but in general you want to take out the enemy Archer Queen, 1 to 2 air defense, and if you can, an Inferno Tower as well, alongside the enemy clan castle troops. Now for this first attack, Tiny is using a couple of balloons at the north of the base just to lure the clan castle. He got amazing value out of them first couple of balloons, setting off all of them air mines. Clearly this base was set out to defend against a queen walk in the north, but that is very easily outsmarted once you know where them air traps are. So the heroes are coming in, they're making a little bit of a push towards that first air defense, getting the enemy Archer Queen down as well. The Eagle Artillery is also a nice bonus to get down if you can, just because it's not then blasting down on your balloons or your Lava Hound throughout the entire raid. A little bit of king on king action and the defending king just about comes out on top. Meanwhile our queen and Grand Warden have pushed in towards the centre, pressing the Archer Queen's ability in order to get the Inferno Tower down, and as soon as that goes down the LavaLoon portion is started, cutting in 2 Lava Hounds towards the air defence, balloons then targeting in towards the defences on the outside, and haste spells are always very good to push them forward towards the defences. Especially following that recent update guys with the faster balloon drop speed, the haste spells are absolutely amazing just to push the balloons to the defences and get them straight down. A freeze spell is always good over the multi-inferno alongside a rage spell to help the balloons get through the core. Now if you've targeted the balloons around the outside in that circular fashion, they should be naturally drawn to the core and then out the other side. You can see that the Lava Hounds continue to pop and create the lava pups, which then help with cleanup, and this raid works out perfectly because they tank just about long enough for the balloons to get over the remaining defences, and then the last Lava Hound pops, which creates them lava pups. Now if the Lava Hounds don't pop, that can actually be detrimental to your raid, because Lava Hounds themselves are used for tanking for the balloons. They absorb all the fire from the defences so that the balloons can just sneak in and take them out. However, they're very slow, they do virtually no damage, so once all the defences are down from the balloons, you really need the Lava Hounds to have popped so that the lava pups, with that faster attack speed, can take out the remaining buildings without being targeted because there's no defences left. So an amazing example of the LavaLoon attack strategy against this max Town Hall 11 by Tiny. We're now going to move down to the next attack, which is by Dan, another one of Red Elite's amazing attackers. Now Dan was actually 3-starring bases with this strategy pre-update, so before the loons even got that boost. So he's coming in from the south, going in towards that main target, which is the enemy Archer Queen, going to take out an air defense alongside that, but he's not going to take any other key objectives out. He's not going to get an Inferno Tower, he's not going to get the clan castle lure or the Eagle Artillery, so you will see just how strong this attack strategy is, because he only really takes out 1 air defense and the enemy Archer Queen. He did use a skeleton spell to distract the enemy Archer Queen. Now that is something that Dan does a lot, and I really like it because it works just as well as using a poison on the enemy heroes. You can use that skeleton spell to distract the queen whilst your heroes take it out. So as soon as that air defense goes down, he's bringing in the Lava Hounds and he's able to cut them in towards the one on the east and then target the balloons alongside them haste spells, which are going to push them through the defences and in towards the core. A free spell is used on that multi-inferno, but you'll see that the balloons coming in from the southeast have gone down, so that free spell isn't going to be used in order to get the inferno down. Instead, as the next lot of balloons come in from the northeast, the Grand Warden's ability will help them to get them inferno towers down, alongside the rage spell, which again I did mention is very useful over that core. You will see that a couple of Lava Hounds have made it through to that final defense, and the balloons are sandwiching the defenses in from every angle here. Now we still have 2 Lava Hounds which remain unpopped, and once the final air defense goes down, they'll then reroute and go to the next nearest defense. Since we had some balloons that were closer, they got to the Archer Tower first and got taken out. However, since the Lava Hounds are quicker, check it out, they both raced across to the Tesla and both popped, causing a swarm of lava pups to then help finish off this raid. So at this point all of the defences are down and it's purely up to them troops to clean up the rest of the buildings, but to be honest the LavaLoon strategy does happen fairly quickly. It all depends on how long you take in getting in and getting them first key objectives down. So I would say you want to take the enemy Archer Queen and try and get at least one if not two air defense. If you can get an Inferno Tower, absolutely great. You might be able to get away with the clan castle troops. It will depend if your attack is a fresh hit or whether one of your clanmates has already hit the base. If you know what's in the clan castle, you might be able to just take a poison spell and purely take down the clan castle troops with that, as you saw in that last example by Dan. So we'll move on to another raid by Tiny, a 6-pack in this war, and that is not uncommon for these guys. So he does a couple of things here which look simple but are very smart. He lures the clan castle and pulls it to where he wants to come in with his heroes next to the enemy Archer Queen. He also uses his Grand Warden because it has that large attack range in order to create a little bit of a funnel, take out just that one building, and that's enough to send his heroes into the base like he wants. He also takes just a couple of bowlers to help in order to take down some of these buildings, and they're very helpful in bouncing the boulders across to take down that Inferno Tower. The Grand Warden's ability obviously helps to keep all of them troops invincible, and he gets a massive amount of objectives down: the clan castle troops, an air defense, the Archer Queen, an Inferno Tower, and the Eagle Artillery. He's then set up the base perfect, and it's just a case of carrying out that LavaLoon portion. So there's 3 air defense left standing and a nice ring right around the side of the base. In general, you want to take 1 extra Lava Hound above the amount of air defense, so in this raid, Tiny takes 4 Lava Hounds. That means he can bring 2 Lava Hounds in towards the first air defense from different angles in order to cover more defenses for the balloons. He then begins this process in the south, but then waits patiently for the Lava Hounds on the first air defense to catch up to that second air defense he's aiming to take down. The idea of having 1 extra Lava Hound above the amount of air defense standing means that as the Lava Hounds come across from one air defense to the next to catch up, you can then cut another one in from the opposite angle, so again on each air defense you then have 2 Lava Hounds in from different angles to cover yourself for the balloons. As we wrap up the 3 stars, another important note to mention was again the freeze spell on the multi-inferno so that it's not taking down a big clump of balloons, and this time, since the core wasn't as packed itself, the rage spell was used for the balloons to take down that Inferno Tower. Moving into the next attack by Crips, you can see the enemy Archer Queen is over on the west side of the base, and that is exactly where he's going to start the attack from. A sneaky Tesla in the corner is very easy to take out with balloons, so on this raid, a balloon takes down that Tesla, moves forward and sets off an air mine, which again is hiding on the side of the base to try and prevent the Queen Walk or Queen Charge. So on them scout attacks, if any of them are activated and they're on the side of the base, especially if you're going to use the Queen and healers, just send in that balloon to set off the traps. If you're not using the healers, it's not an issue because the Lava Hounds will set them off as they move into the base. So a rage spell is used on this one on the healers and the Queen in order to take down the enemy Archer Queen and keep her up to full health, because most importantly he wants to get deep enough into the base to get that Inferno Tower down, because he has 2 Inferno Towers there set to multi, which are very difficult to take care of in a LavaLoon attack. He sacrifices the king down on the south in order to take down the enemy clan castle troops. That works out well because it's packed with minions, but the king keeps them inside the poison spell long enough to take them down. Just a couple of them manage to get out, but since the queen has the healers, she's going to take them down. So if we just think about the objectives that went down, first we had the enemy Archer Queen, then an air defense and an Inferno Tower, followed by the clan castle troops. The Queen still has the healers on her, so as she moves around the side of the base and we begin the LavaLoon portion, the defences will start to fall and the Queen and Grand Warden can help with cleanup. So although we've taken that little bit longer with the initial phase, there's less defences to get through, but the Queen can also help with cleanup, speeding up the raid. There were a few sneaky red air mines on the side of the base, taking out quite a few balloons. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's not going to matter because they continue to come into the defences around the side. Freeze spell on that multi-inferno, the balloons slowly move over the top of it and take that down, and then bringing them in towards the wizard towers at the back as well. That's another very important tip. Whilst you're doing your LavaLoon, you need to think about your deployment of your Lava Hound and Balloons. Are you going clockwise or anti-clockwise around the base, and whereabouts are they going to end up? So as you move around the base, you can surgically deploy the balloons in, but as the defences continue to fall, you need to save some for the back end because they will naturally clump up as they move to the defences, and if you have a wizard tower, a splash damage defence, sitting at the far end of the base, that can spell disaster for your LavaLoon and strike them all down. So you do need to consider where the balloons are going to path to. That might determine whether you attack with your LavaLoon clockwise or anti-clockwise, but a lot of the time that will be determined by the position of the air sweepers. You want to really attack behind the air sweepers so that you don't even have to worry about them. So we'll move on to the final attack of this episode by Serge, another great variation of the LavaLoon. This one is slightly different, and that's where I say it all depends on the base, but there's certainly different ways to attack. Everybody attacks differently, everyone has their strengths, their preferences on how they like to attack. There's definitely a lot of ways you can take down a base. So on this one, he's coming in from the west, going to take down that air defense and aiming towards the Inferno Tower as well. He's then going to bring in the LavaLoon portion up from the northwest, and the Grand Warden is going to be used on air mode to help with the balloons. Notice how he's not taking the Queen down at this point either. She's going to go down later in the raid. So I'm assuming he was going in for that Inferno Tower as well. Maybe he wasn't, but that just adds to the strength of the attack. He doesn't get it down, but still 3 stars this base. The most important thing is if you don't get everything you wanted from your kill squad is not to panic. Now everyone does it, it's natural, everyone has fails from time to time as well guys, but try not to panic, try and just adapt as best you can. Look at the Grand Warden going on complete suicide mode, but you can still take down the bases even if you don't get everything to plan. On this one, the balloons are moving forward and a rage spell helps to push them to that Inferno Tower, which had just been frozen to help protect the balloons. Skeleton spells are used to distract the Queen, and that means that she's not then hitting the balloons as they move through. Another rage spell is used to power the balloons past her, but also help the lava pups to take her down, and that works really well. It means that we still have a large group of balloons moving around, and we make sure to save a haste spell for that final Inferno Tower because we want to push the balloons to the Wizard Tower and Inferno Tower because they are 2 key defences that need taking down. The balloons have massive amounts of damage but are very slow in their movement speed, so the haste spells are brilliant for speeding them up to the defences, and especially since the last update when they get that boost of the initial bomb, they can take down buildings extremely quick if you have a couple of balloons on them. So that wraps up the 3-star attack and this LavaLoon edition of the Town Hall 11 Triples. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to share any comments down below and subscribe for more Clash of Clans. I've been your host Judo Sloth, and until next time, peace out guys. Stay tuned for more Clash of Clans.